Serving their community is who they are because they love where they live. REMAX 3D Real Estate is proud to bring you Heart of Greenville, a video series dedicated to celebrating all the wonderfully great things about Greenville, Texas. On every episode, Dennisha Thacker will share Greenville's story through the stories of people who call Greenville home. This is Heart of Greenville.
Thank you so much for watching Heart of Greenville. I asked Dr. Liggins to come on the show because of his heart and soul and passion for our students at Greenville Independent School District. You will find from our conversation he has a true spirit to give back to our students. I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. Here's my conversation with Dr. Liggins. Hey y'all, I'm Dennisha Thacker, your host of Heart of Greenville, and today I have the honor and privilege to sit down with Dr. Liggins, our superintendent of Greenville ISD. How are you today, Dr. Liggins?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Awesome.
It's so great to finally get to sit down and talk to you and really have a conversation about you and getting to know your story. I know you've been here now for 3 years now?
It'll be 4 years next month, actually.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. So.
Tell us what your first day was. What was that date?
Oh, my. Well, I actually on Valentine's is when I actually interviewed. And I remember that because I remember the outfit that the person that welcomed me had on. And it was... I remember I came in, it was, I had come to Greenville as a kid, but had not been here as an adult. And so just coming here and to see, it was completely different than how I had imagined from my childhood's mind. And I remember just coming in and really being before the board and being a little bit nervous, but really, really excited about the opportunity.
Okay, we have to back up. Tell me about the outfit. What stuck out to you about this outfit?
Well, the individual that came in, I believe his bow tie was 2 hearts, so that kind of went.
Oh, yeah.
2 hearts. I think it was a red suit with the heart shirt. Just a very, very. I just remember. I can never forget. It's Valentine's. Yeah.
How striking.
Yes.
So, what was your perception of Greenville as a child, and what was different when you came in?
As a child, my pastor's, the church I grew up in, my pastor's mother was from Greenville, and we would come at least twice a year to her church. And it was a church, and I still don't know where the church is, and no one's been able to tell me. It was a church, I remember it had peacocks and walking around in the church yard. And, anyway, so I just remember it being very rural and very... it was a church in the middle of nowhere, and so that was kind of the rural setting. And so to come in and to come in on 30 and to see the industry and the businesses and all of that was just completely different than what I had imagined from when I was a child. So
now tell us where you grew up.
Oh, East Texas, Longview. I actually consider. I kind of chuckle when people say Greenville's East Texas. So no, but I grew up in Longview, Texas, born and raised. My siblings still live there. It's home, and so yeah.
That's funny. So when we say we're from East Texas, from Greenville, you just laugh at us.
Exactly. Yeah. Nah, not really.
Not really. Yeah. We're still on the edge. People still make fun of my accent. So I'm reminded periodically, oh yeah, I do have that East Texas.
East Texas, yeah.
Yes. Well, what was it like growing up in Longview?
Longview's home. So, most people I think are most critical of their home than people who come to their home as visitors. I always longed to get to, as a child, someplace bigger and more exciting. And then as an adult, I realized it was the perfect lifestyle. It's the perfect size. It's the perfect atmosphere. The people know each other. In a lot of ways, Greenville reminds me a lot of Longview. It's a hometown feeling, and where people take care of each other, and people know each other. You have family histories, and so yeah. So Longview, didn't appreciate it until I was an adult, really. But it was is home. I still, I since my grandmother and my mom has passed, I don't go back nearly as often as I used to. But it's still, my childhood home's still there. My brother actually lives there, and it'll always be home.
That's right.
So, yeah.
That's right. I'm so sorry about your grandmother and your mother. I know that's so hard when you lose those strong women in your life. So
thank you.
I happened to, I actually listened to your podcast that you did for the Herald Banner with the Lighter Side. So I happen to know that your grandmother actually played a significant role in your life.
Yes, she did.
Will you share a little bit about that?
Well, I often, and anyone that knew me of any amount of time knew that Grandma was an important figure in my life. I tell everyone that, she was my favorite person, and I don't think there was any secret that I was her favorite grandchild. Although some of my cousins may disagree,
Right?
and siblings, but still.
But that's okay.
No, Grandma she was the strongest woman I've ever known. She grew up in, she was born in during the Depression, grew up during Jim Crow, and but just really, really, she valued education like no one that I knew. She had to drop out of school at 9th grade to help, because they were sharecroppers, and help take care of her smaller siblings. And but she's been the one. She instilled in me the importance of education, and she was just strong in every way. She provided for the family. She taught me all of my values, and just she's my favorite person in life. Yeah,
that sums that up.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite saying that she used to tell you when you were growing up, or some kind of motto that you've carried on?
There's so many things. One of the biggest ones, I guess, is I remember when we would, as kids, if we would, my sibling said something about me, or my cousin would say something, her big thing was always, you can't stop people from talking about you, but you can surely make sure that what they say isn't true if it's bad. And so it always reminds, so it's, today I still hold that, and I've told my son 1,000 times, you can't stop people from talking about you, but if it is, make sure it's good.
That's right.
And so it's, but no, she was, I could go on for days about the things she taught me, but that's one that stands out for sure.
It's so awesome when we have someone like that was in our childhood that helps establish our values, and it does establish who we are. My grandmother was like that too.
Okay,
and
good.
So I can totally relate to that. Just it gives you that foundation that's so firm that allows you to grow up and have those morals and values that you can take forward and pass on to your children.
Yeah.
And so I can completely relate to that.
Good, yeah.
So tell us how you got to Greenville. I know there's a big gap. You grew up in Longview and you had a journey, but then eventually how did you get to Greenville?
Greenville came about, when people are looking for superintendents, usually school boards will hire search firms to do it. School boards are usually, they're the ones responsible for hiring superintendents in school districts, but very rarely are they educators. And so there's search firms, kind of like headhunters, so to speak, that are usually retired superintendents and people who've been educators throughout their lives that go out and find quality candidates to come in. And so I got a phone call actually from a gentleman who had been hired by the Greenville School Board to search for their next superintendent. And he was telling me about it. And seriously, I remembered the moment he said Greenville, I remembered the church where Reverend, Pastor Walker's mother lived.
Yes.
And I was like, I just don't know. That's a little country town. I'm not sure if I want to go there with the peacocks.
I was going to say, all you can see are the peacocks. Yes.
And really did a little research on the district, and really got excited about it because the demographics were something that I was very passionate about. I grew up very poor, and we have in our district about 75% economically disadvantaged students. And education for me was my saving grace. And so that's the reason I got into education. So seeing that there's 75% of the kids who were just like me growing
Yes.
up in this town and in this school district, I can make a huge difference there. So told them I was interested in it and ultimately submitted all of my credentials and all of that. The board apparently liked what they saw and invited me in with, I don't remember how many folks they invited total, but came in and met the board, was very pleased with the board. They seemed to work well together. They seemed to really have a passion for what they were doing. 'Cause, some school districts, some person may run for board because they want to make sure their kids get on the cheerleading team, and they have that one set mind. But the board was very much about, we're here for all kids. We're here to make sure that our school just continues to get better. So it seemed to be a perfect fit. And so they invited me back for a second interview. And really, I knew it was the place I was meant to be. And so the rest is history.
Yeah.
Here I am now. Yeah.
And boy, did you have a ride.
I did.
Yeah. Because your first day was actually April 1st.
Yes.
Which was April Fool's Day.
Yes.
Which turned out.
To be quite. I should have seen the irony when I first came in, but I didn't. Yeah, we uncovered some things that were not known.
Correct.
And had a time fixing those. They've all been fixed now, and we're focused on student achievement and doing very, very well, despite the pandemic, of course. But
do you have a personal takeaway from that? Because I know I can't imagine what it was like to be brand new to the district and to go through that journey. And that was a journey, not only for you and for the board, but the community.
Yeah.
And to see where we are today, we've clearly come through that. Yeah. And I think I appreciate that from the outside, that we were able to overcome that to the best of everyone's ability. But as the leader, what was it like to go through that and come out to the other side?
Oh man, while going through it, it was hell. It was tough. It was I will be honest with you, there were times, and mind you, I inherited all of this, but
Absolutely.
It was in my lap at the point. There were times where I didn't want to go out and to the Walmart to go shopping,
right.
or because it was I just felt like it was all eyes were on me as to what to do. One of the things I've learned from it, though, is that of all of the things that we encountered, they all came from people being very concerned about their schools, concerned about the community, and they understand the importance of the school and how so goes the school district, goes the town.
Right.
And so despite all of the ugliness that took place and all of the frustration and on me as an educator and my team as well as the community, it was all because we care about our school. We want it to be in a good space.
Yes.
We want it to perform well. And so I took away from that a lot of times when people are passionate about something, it doesn't always come out in the way that you would like it to or you think is the most productive. But you have to realize at the end that, and I do realize now, we had the exact same goal, to get our school district back on track, whether it was financially, academically, or what else, to make sure that we were performing well. And so we just came about it from different ways and sometimes bumped heads a little bit, but that's beyond us now and we're moving forward. So
I think what your grandmother taught you came out through this too.
Yes, I have to be reminded of that several times.
Yes.
You can't stop them from talking, but
That's
make
right.
sure, yeah.
But I always felt like you handled it with grace. And I mean, from being on a leadership side, I could only imagine what you were going through.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that you stuck it out. So I love your perspective on that everyone had passion and they really wanted the same common goal, but they went about it in a different way. And to be able to see it that way says a lot about your leadership. So thank you for sticking it out.
Thank you. I'm glad I did too. The reward has been just some of the things we've been able to do for kids have been amazing. So,
yes. Yeah. Well, share some of those things with us. I'd love to hear about that. Some
Oh,
of the things you've done for the kiddos.
Well, thank you. We've done quite a few things. When we came in, we had obviously started the STEM school, and that was something that fell in my lap when we came here. The previous superintendent had implemented that, but it was the only choice that our students had. And I'm a strong believer that kids and parents who choose something they really take more ownership in it. The story I like to share when it comes to choice in schools is if you take, let's say, a 4-year-old, and that 4-year-old, you take them to the library, and you say, you sit right there, and I'm going to go find us a book, and I'm going to come back and read it to you. You can go find that book and come back and get that 4-year-old, sit them in your lap and read the book. They'll enjoy the book, appreciate the fact that you're reading it to them. But then afterwards, they're ready to go do something else. If you sit down and tell the 4-year-old, go find a book that you want me to read to you, and then they choose it themselves, and they come back, that kid will read that book. You'll read that book until that kid's reciting it back to you because they chose it.
Yes.
And so I strongly believe that kids and parents should have choices when it comes to their education. And because different kids, we know as adults, we each have, you've chosen a career, I've chosen a career based off of our passion and things that interest us. Kids are just little humans, they all have
They're
interests
little
as well.
adults.
Yeah. And so they also have interest and different talents. And so one of the things I really wanted to do was to bring those out and to make sure that kids have opportunities to make choices, of course, with their parents and what they're more interested in. So we've implemented, for example, our dual language bilingual program, where kids who want to learn to be both fluent in both English and Spanish by the time they graduate high school, to start doing that. We've really implemented a lot of our new CTE programs, our career technical education programs. This year we started cosmetology. That was one of the ones that since my first graduation, I came in April, and that May in graduation, so many kids told me when that crossed the stage, I'm going to cosmetology school, I'm going to cosmetology school. So I knew right then there's no reason we shouldn't be offering that now, where they can cross the stage and say, I'm starting my job on Monday, as a, cosmetologist because I finished it during high school. And so we've done that. We've also...
I love that, by the way, because it is outside of the box. And I think college is great, but it's not always for everyone.
No, exactly.
And we need all the other trades as well. And so I love that our students have so many more opportunities in front of them. I'm from the class of 1997, so I'm a Greenville alumni. And we didn't have those options back then. We had lots of electives and things like that. We didn't have the dual language classes. And I so wish I could speak Spanish today. And so I love that you brought those things into our community and for our students. It's really going to set them apart in the future.
It really does. It makes a huge difference in making sure that they have options. It gives you options to choose what your path is going to be. And a lot of our kids graduate and from high school with a industry certification and go on to college and do something else. And that's their prerogative, but they have an option to do that. And so
that empowers you too.
Oh, indeed it does.
It puts you out a step above having options and knowing that you have options.
Yes, indeed. So, but we've done quite a bit. We've been very excited about the all the initiative we've implemented and a lot of the things that we're doing. Of course, COVID put a lot of things on hold. One of the big things that we were planning on launching this year is because we have so many service things where, like, we have our cosmetology again, we have our culinary arts, we have auto mechanics, and so we were really getting to the point where we're going to offer those to the community to give kids the opportunity to have real world experiences with doing that. Of course, with COVID, all of that went away, but that's the next step in our plan to make sure that we're doing that as well.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So you mentioned you have a son. How many kiddos do you have? Tell me a little bit about that.
I have one kid,
okay.
Vaughn. Vaughn is 19. He will be going February 16th to the Air Force.
Really?
And so, yes, Vaughn graduated.
How does Dad feel about that?
He's a unique kid. Vaughn graduated the year I came. I came in April. And he was a junior, and so he stayed in Grand Prairie to finish his senior year in high school. And he's always been a year ahead. He graduated he turned 17, in February, and graduated that May. And so he's always been the youngest kid in his class. And so always thought maybe he was just immature compared to his peers. He went on to college and didn't quite mature as much as we thought he would.
He had the full college experience. Is
Yes.
that what we're saying?
And finally, he got to the point last semester, and he said he wasn't passionate about college any longer, or about learning any. So he was living with his mother at the time, and so she and I decided that if he didn't want to be homeless, he needed to do something. so the military became an option. And I'll tell you, this was just recently. And at first it was like, you're going to do something, you're going to go talk to recruiters, you're just not going to sit at home and try to discover who you are. That's
right.
just, and so in the beginning it was almost like, forcing him to do it. He got excited about it. He chose the Air Force. He spoke to all of the different branches. And, but I will tell you, when this October, he finished everything. He was sworn in, and they told us, anywhere from now until next October of 2021, he will find out when he's going to go to basic training and all of that. And it really didn't hit home until I think in November he got the call, and they said February 16th is your report date. And I don't know how I feel about it now. I'm excited for him because he's really excited about it, and I hadn't seen him excited in a while. But it's your kid going off to
protect our country.
To protect our country, yeah.
And that is hard. My son's 15, so I'm not quite there yet, but I can only imagine what that's like as a parent.
Yeah.
But my brother went to the Air Force, and he was about 19 or 20, kind of did the college thing, did the life thing a little too hard.
Yeah.
I'll give you this peace of mind. It was the best decision he could have ever made because he didn't really know what he wanted, and he really didn't know what made him happy. But going into the Air Force gave him a purpose and gave him a mission. And who he became outside of that as an adult now has been phenomenal. And he will say that changed his life. So I hope the same thing happens for your son.
I definitely hope so. I will tell you, I've often, because I grew up in such poverty, and I've tried, obviously anyone that tries to make sure their kids live a better life.
Right.
And I often thought, maybe we did something wrong because he was so privileged and he got too much because he's never had the drive and the desire to just go further,
Right.
further your education, do all of that. And it's like, but I think and I still don't know, but I think maybe it's the difference between having privilege and not. I was very hungry to make something of myself because I know I didn't want to live the lifestyle that I lived growing up. Whereas he was fairly comfortable growing up, and he may have thought, well, Pops is going to continue to take care of me.
Right.
Yeah,
He was wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think he's going to develop his grit now.
Yeah,
he
good.
may not have developed it
Yeah.
as a kid like you did, but it's coming, Dad.
Yeah. And everyone, I've spoken to a few people that have been in their veterans, and they've said, "Oh yeah, he's going to be different." And I'm like, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, looking forward to him growing up.
It will be great. And I always love in different scenarios where people recognize our veterans, and we wouldn't be where we are today as a country without our veterans. And
Yes.
so
They
it's such
sacrifice
an
so much.
honor
Yes.
for people to serve. I don't think he'll ever regret that. So
Good.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
we're looking forward to it.
Well, the show is called Heart of Greenville, and that's because I love to tell the stories about the people in our community that make it so amazing. But I also love to find out what the people in our community love about Greenville. So on a personal level, we know you love the school district. Your blood runs for GISD. But tell us some things that you love about the community and about Greenville itself.
It's kind of hard to remove that from the school district. Because everything I love about it is connected somewhat to
True.
the school. But I will tell you, this is the most generous community I've ever lived in. There's never been a time where there was something that was a need that was someone didn't step up and say, I'll take care of that for you. And, and we have a fairly large budget to take care of the instruction of our kids and their basic needs educationally. But we have many of kids that are homeless. We have many kids that during this pandemic that, don't have technology or internet at home. And so it really came to light even more so during the pandemic. But it's always been, our education foundation has just given teachers extra grants to do certain things. But one prime example, the pandemic came on. no one's prepared for it. No one, we obviously don't have funds to take care of all the things we needed to do there. And so I remember reaching out to the city because the CARES Act funding came in. And I reached out to the mayor and I was like, well, we're really struggling with a lot of our kids trying to get technology. And, the school district budget didn't necessarily, we're not prepared to buy one-to-one for everyone.
Right.
And he was like, well, how much do you need? And the night at the board meeting, actually, or the school, not the board meeting, the city council meeting, we went in, and not only did they give us the amount that we requested, they threw in, well, we want Juice to be able to give internet to families that don't have internet, and just threw that in. D. Hilton, for example, reached out and was like, there's a grant that L3 is doing for schools, and I want to, apply for it to make sure that you guys can get some extra internet for students and devices. We've had, it's just been, and these are things that, you don't even have to solicit, and people just volunteer and want to help and give out. But it's just really been another rich thing that I've really loved about it is just the community feeling. There's you'd be surprised if you weren't from here, or have been surprised not being from here, the amount of community things that exist, the amount of things you can do just to get to know each other. The Chamber of Commerce has been very instrumental in that. I went through leadership, Hunt County, and learned so much. But it's a fun place. There's lots of things to do in the evenings, business after hours, before hours, all the, I forget what was it, they don't do it anymore, but Rally Around Greenville and all sorts of things. That's just been really it's a great community to live in, and it just feels like home. It really does.
It really does. And I love to hear you say that, not being from here. And what's funny in listening to you, you talk like you are from here. It's like you have become part of Greenville.
Good, yeah.
Yes. I love that. You almost had to go back and say, oh, wait, I'm not from here. But you are, and I love that. I love that you feel that connected to our community, that this is your home, and it is your home. Yeah. And so thank you for being a part of that, and thank you for all the things that you do for GISD and for our community. I know you give back in other ways as well. And so you leveled up our school district. So I told you I was a graduate in 97. And so I've watched a lot of things change over the years. And I will say your leadership coming in brought a level of professionalism that we have not seen in a very long time.
Thank you.
So
thank
you for that. And I love getting to know your heart and sharing that with everyone else to see your heart and passion. I'm going to tell you one quick story, and then I'm going to ask you our final question.
Okay.
You probably don't remember this. We were in the middle of the pandemic, or I won't say middle, in the beginning. We had our mask on, and I saw you in Walmart, and I was walking down an aisle, and a teacher stopped you to ask you if she was going to get paid. They weren't sure if you were going to get paid, if they were going to get paid.
I remember that.
Do you remember this?
I remember that.
And you handled that with such grace, and you handled that with such passion and heart to make sure she knew she was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew your heart. And
Yeah.
I was like, this is the right man for the job.
Yeah.
And I even remember saying, do you wish you didn't come in here? Because she walked on and I stopped to talk to you. Because the pressure of COVID and the pressure of all those decisions that you had to make and the board had to make, those were big decisions that no one knew that outcome. But you had to deal with that in the public on a one-on-one basis. And so I just commend you for that so much.
Thank you. Yeah, so. I kind of love the fact that I can wear a mask at Walmart now.
Right.
It's like a lot of people don't know who I am. I put on my hat and my mask, and it's like I'll do my shopping at night.
You're incognito.
Yeah.
Well, I asked you for your number. I like to ask a random question at the end of every show. And you picked number 19. Tell me why you picked number 19. You didn't know what the questions were, but what's your
19's
connection?
I'm 9 and 19 are my September 19th is my birthday, so 19 and 9 is my lucky number.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, question number 19 is, how do you want to be remembered?
Oh, wow.
That's why I said, oh, wow, when I read it.
That's a great question.
Yes.
I would like to be remembered as making a difference for the least of those. Kids who don't necessarily think they're college material. making them realize, yes, you are. Kids that don't necessarily think that they're the smartest or the most athletic or can do the things, to give them opportunities to show that if you put your heart into it, you can do anything. I'm a strong believer in different intelligences. And so not everyone, I for one, I tried my hardest to be an athlete, and it just was not in my DNA or my makeup. But there's different intelligences and other things. Mm-hmm. And, and you may have the athlete that may not be the best at science and math, but they can run their tail off and do things. And I want to be remembered as giving those kids opportunities to do that, to realize their potential, to find their passion, and make it happen. I mean, education, I've said before, is my saving grace. And I think so many people find their passion in who they are through our system of public education. And so that's why I do what I do. And hopefully that's what I'll be remembered for doing.
Wow. All I can say is wow.
And thank you for that's a great question.
It really was.
Great
it
question.
Causes you to think about that. But you know what? You're living that every single day. So you're living that legacy.
I try. Thank you so much.
Well, Dr. Liggins, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. It has been my honor and privilege to get to hear your story. So
thank you. It's been fun. Thank you. And very comfortable. Thank you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it too.
All right.
Thank you for watching Heart of Greenville. This video series, which is designed to celebrate Greenville, Texas, is spearheaded by REMAX 3D Real Estate.